Mia Carter lived in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Detroit, where life moved fast, but hers stayed painfully slow. At 17, her world revolved around the hum of her aging electric wheelchair, its tired motor, squeaky wheels, and unpredictable battery. After a childhood accident left her unable to walk, she adapted to stillness, while everyone else kept moving. Her mother worked 2 exhausting shifts at a diner, leaving Mia alone most afternoons. She often watched from her window as kids rode bikes, teens raced cars, and neighbors chatted. Yet she felt invisible, a spectator trapped behind glass. Across the street sat Miller's Auto Garage, a small workshop with a big faded sign and a familiar smell of engine oil. Mia visited often, claiming she liked the noise, but really she liked the company. She had met Ethan Miller there, a 28-year-old mechanic with messy hair, grease-stained hands, and a heart far kinder than he admitted. Ethan treated her like she wasn't fragile, like she was someone worth listening to, worth laughing with. He checked her wheelchair every few days, wiping dirt from the wheels and tightening anything loose. He called it a pit stop, making her feel like she wasn't broken, just in maintenance. One cold December afternoon, Mia's wheelchair began acting strange again. The motor made a fluttering sound every time she passed over a bump. She ignored it at first, not wanting to bother Ethan, but deep down she feared the day it would fail completely. Her mother couldn't afford repairs, let alone a new chair. Their bills were piled high, and the wheelchair was older than most cars on the block. Still, Mia tried to stay hopeful, believing that somehow things would work themselves out like they always had. But hope didn't stop the inevitable. As she crossed the street heading home, the chair suddenly jerked, sputtered, and died in the middle of the road. Cars honked. A truck slowed to avoid her. Cold wind slapped her face as panic took hold. She pressed the buttons repeatedly. Nothing. Her heart pounded. The chair wouldn't move at all. She felt glued to the asphalt, vulnerable, helpless, and exposed. Tears threatened, but she forced them back, gripping the armrests tightly as traffic grew louder around her. Ethan heard the commotion from inside the garage and rushed out. When he saw Mia stranded between honking cars, something inside him snapped. He sprinted toward her, waving his arms to stop traffic, and carefully pulled her chair out of the road. She shivered, unable to hide her fear. Ethan knelt beside her, examining the dead machine. One look told him everything. The wires were fried, the battery swollen, and the control system nearly melted. He swallowed hard before saying, "Mia, this thing is done. It's not safe anymore." She nodded, but the words hit like a punch. Without the chair, she had nothing. Ethan pushed her gently into the garage, away from the noise and danger outside. Mia tried to hide her trembling hands, embarrassed by how shaken she felt. He brewed her a cup of hot chocolate from an old machine in the office and sat beside her, trying to reassure her, but the truth lay heavy between them. Repairs were impossible. Replacement parts cost more than Ethan made in a month. A new chair, completely out of reach. Mia stared at the broken machine, feeling like her small world had cracked open. She hated depending on anyone. She hated being powerless. Ethan couldn't stand seeing her like that. After closing the garage for the night, he wheeled the broken chair inside and opened it up, determined to try. He worked under bright lights, tools scattered around him, breath visible in the cold air. But the deeper he looked, the more hopeless it became. The motherboard was burned, the wiring brittle, and the frame unstable. That chair should have been replaced years ago. He slammed a wrench down in frustration. Mia deserved so much better. Better care, better mobility, better life. She deserved freedom, not a failing machine trapping her every day. At home, Mia struggled with the new reality. Without the chair, she couldn't move around the house. She had to call her mother for help with simple things, feeling like a burden with every request. She hated needing help to reach the kitchen, the bathroom, even her own bed. The loss of movement felt like losing a piece of herself. She missed the short trips to the garage, the laughter with Ethan, the small sense of independence she had carved for herself. That broken chair wasn't just metal and wires, it was her voice, her legs, her only way forward. The next morning, she forced herself to cross the street with her mother's help, using a temporary manual chair that was far too heavy and stiff for her weak arms. When they reached the garage, Ethan immediately came out, concern etched across his face. He looked at the new chair, at Mia's shaky grip, and made a silent promise to himself. He wouldn't let her life shrink back into stillness. He didn't have money, resources, or connections, but he had determination, and sometimes one determined person was enough to spark a miracle. Ethan didn't know how yet, but he knew he had to find a way. The morning after the accident, Ethan woke earlier than usual, his mind filled with Mia's frightened face and the useless wheelchair lying in pieces on his workbench. He paced the garage, searching for any affordable solution, but every link he clicked led to disappointment. Specialized parts cost thousands, and even refurbished equipment exceeded anything he could pay. He rubbed his temples, feeling pressure building in his chest. Mia didn't deserve this struggle, not after everything she'd already endured. He couldn't just stand by and watch her world shrink. He needed a miracle, something unexpected, something far beyond his reach. Around noon, a sleek black SUV rolled into the driveway, drawing curious glances from the neighbors. It was nothing like the usual cars that came for repairs. The door opened, and a tall woman in a tailored winter coat stepped out, her presence commanding yet gentle. She introduced herself as Olivia Brooks, the CEO of a major tech company visiting Detroit for a charity partnership. She approached Ethan with a friendly smile, asking if he could check her vehicle's tire sensors. Ethan agreed, unaware that this ordinary request was about to change everything for Mia. As Olivia waited, she noticed Mia sitting near the garage entrance in her heavy manual chair, her hands struggling to grip the large wheels. Mia's breath came in, short bursts, her arms already exhausted from the short trip across the street. Olivia's gaze softened. Something about the girl's quiet strength caught her attention. She walked closer, kneeling, slightly so she could speak to Mia eye level. "Hi, sweetheart, are you okay? This chair looks uncomfortable." Mia tried to smile, embarrassed by the attention. She explained that her electric wheelchair had died, and this was just temporary, but the strain in her voice was undeniable. Ethan overheard their conversation and joined them, wiping his hands on a cloth. He explained the entire situation, the breakdown, the danger, the impossibility of repairing such an outdated model. Olivia listened carefully, her expression turning thoughtful and then concerned. She asked a few technical questions, surprising Ethan. With how much she seemed to know about wheelchair mechanics, battery configurations, and mobility systems, that's when she revealed that her company had recently partnered with an assistive technology startup specializing in advanced mobility devices. "This chair, it's years behind what modern engineering can offer," she said gently. "She shouldn't be struggling like this." Ethan felt a mixture of hope and disbelief rising in his chest. Mia looked down, afraid to wish for too much. Olivia stood, pulled out her phone, and made a quick call. Her tone was calm yet assertive, the kind of voice used by someone who expected solutions, not excuses. She arranged for her team to send one of their newest mobility prototypes to Detroit immediately. Mia's eyes widened. "Ma'am, I don't think we can afford—" Olivia raised a hand, stopping her softly. "This isn't charity, it's responsibility. When we have the power to help someone, we should." Her voice carried warmth, not pity. 2 hours later, a delivery van arrived, carrying a sleek, futuristic wheelchair protected in a glass-like casing. It was unlike anything Mia had ever seen. Lightweight, smooth, with curved edges and a glowing digital interface. The carbon fiber frame looked strong yet elegant, and the AI-assisted motor system promised effortless movement even on rough terrain. The technicians worked quickly, adjusting the seat and programming the controls, specifically to Mia's comfort and medical needs. When they finished, they stepped back with quiet pride, having witnessed how deeply this moment mattered. Mia reached out with trembling fingers, brushing against the armrest. It felt unreal, too perfect to belong to her. Ethan watched with misty eyes, unable to hide the emotion swelling inside him. Olivia placed a gentle hand on Mia's shoulder and encouraged her to try it. With hesitation and hope intertwined, Mia positioned herself and activated the chair. The screen lit up softly, greeting her by name. The motor hummed quietly as the chair responded to the slightest touch of her hand. She moved forward smoothly, no jerking, no resistance, just freedom. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "It's perfect." The garage transformed into a place of laughter and awe as Mia glided effortlessly across the floor. Olivia watched with a satisfied smile, knowing she had changed a life that truly needed it. Ethan felt gratitude pulse through him, unsure how to express the depth of what this meant. He thanked Olivia repeatedly, but she simply shook her head, insisting that people like Mia were the reason her company created technology in the first place. Mia's mother arrived moments later, shocked to see her daughter moving so comfortably. The woman broke down in tears, hugging Olivia tightly while thanking her over and over. As the sun began to set, the garage glowed with golden light, reflecting off the wheelchair's polished surface. Mia circled the space again and again, each movement giving her a piece of herself back. Olivia watched her closely, recognizing potential in the girl, potential that went far beyond mobility. Something about Mia's intelligence, resilience, and quiet determination struck a chord deep within her. She asked Mia about her interests, her dreams, and her plans. Mia shyly admitted she loved computers, coding, and understanding how things work, even though she had never had proper tools or opportunities. By the time Olivia's SUV was ready, she had made another decision. She offered Mia a spot in her company's summer mentorship program in California, an opportunity that could open doors to a future Mia had never imagined for herself. Ethan nearly dropped the wrench he was holding. Mia's mother covered her mouth, stunned beyond words. And Mia? She stared at Olivia with disbelief, joy and fear mixing into something powerful. She wasn't just receiving mobility, she was being offered possibility. Olivia smiled warmly. "You have a bright mind. Let us help you use it." Suddenly the world looked much bigger. The weeks following Olivia's visit passed like a dream for Mia. Every morning she woke with a new sense of purpose, gliding effortlessly through her home in her advanced wheelchair. Tasks that once drained her strength, moving from room to room, reaching shelves, navigating tight spaces, now happened with a smoothness she had never experienced. Her mother watched her with quiet amazement, often pausing mid-task just to take in how free her daughter finally looked. Mia felt lighter, stronger, and more alive, as if her world had widened beyond anything she had ever imagined, and in those moments gratitude overflowed inside her. Ethan noticed the change too, each time she rolled into the garage. She no longer entered timidly or cautiously, she moved with confidence, like someone who finally belonged in motion. He had always admired her strength, but now she shined differently, brighter, happier. They spent their afternoons talking about everything from school to technology to life's small absurdities. Mia even began helping him understand the digital dashboard of her new chair, explaining features with surprising clarity. Ethan often joked she was smarter than most engineers he knew, and though she laughed, she secretly hoped he meant it. One afternoon, Olivia returned to Detroit to finalize her charity deals. Her SUV pulled up to the garage, and she stepped out with a warm, familiar smile. When Mia rolled forward to greet her, Olivia noticed immediately how much more comfortable she looked. Her posture was straighter, her movements more natural. "You look incredible," Olivia said, placing a hand over her heart. "I told you this chair would change things." Mia beamed, thanking her again. Olivia shook her head gently. "No, sweetheart, you changed things. You didn't give up. You made room for a new life, and that takes courage." Inside the garage, Olivia spoke privately with Ethan. She thanked him for caring for Mia long before she arrived, acknowledging that compassion like his wasn't common. Ethan brushed it off shyly, insisting he just did what anyone would do, but Olivia knew better. Kindness like his was rare. She told him the mentorship program Mia had been invited to would be competitive and advanced, but she believed Mia could thrive if surrounded by support. She encouraged him to continue being part of her life, reminding him that strong communities weren't built alone. Ethan nodded, honored that she trusted him with something so precious. When Olivia shared more details with Mia, excitement and fear collided inside the young girl. The program in California wasn't just a simple workshop. It was a place where students met engineers, worked with cutting-edge technology, and created real projects that could impact millions. Mia's breath caught as Olivia described the laboratories, the intelligent software systems, and the mentors who would guide her. Part of her felt unworthy, just a girl from a struggling neighborhood with a history of broken wheelchairs. But another part, a braver part, whispered that maybe she could belong there. As the departure date approached, the neighborhood buzzed with anticipation. Neighbors who had watched Mia grow up knocked on their door, offering congratulations and small gifts. Her mother cried often, not from sadness, but from overwhelming pride. She saved every letter, every schedule, every email Olivia's team sent, placing them carefully in a folder. Mia spent evenings learning beginner coding languages online, determined not to disappoint the people who believed in her. Ethan helped whenever he could, staying late to quiz her on concepts he barely understood himself. They laughed through mistakes, celebrated victories, and together prepared for a journey none of them had expected. The night before her flight, Mia sat alone in her room, looking out the window at the softly lit street. Her old wheelchair sat folded in the corner like a memory from a life she no longer lived. She thought about the day it broke in the road, the fear she felt, the helplessness that crushed her. And then she thought about the moment Ethan rescued her, about Olivia's kindness, about the first time she rolled forward in her new chair. She realized that one moment of crisis had opened the door to everything that followed. It wasn't just luck, it was the start of her transformation. The morning of her departure, the garage was filled with familiar faces. Olivia stood beside her SUV, ready to escort Mia to the airport. Ethan was there too, leaning against the doorway, trying to act calm, while his eyes betrayed deep emotion. Mia rolled up to him, her heart aching at the thought of leaving. "You better not forget about us small-town folks," Ethan joked, but his voice cracked. She laughed softly, promising to call him every day. He bent down and hugged her tightly, whispering, "I'm proud of you. Go show the world what you're capable of." She swallowed tears, holding on to every word. As the SUV pulled away, Mia looked back at the garage, at Ethan, at the street where her struggle had once defined her life. Now it symbolized her beginning. The city slowly faded from view as they headed toward the airport, and with each mile she felt herself stepping further into the future she had only dared to dream of. She wasn't just leaving home, she was stepping into a world built for her potential. And as the Yai plane later lifted into the sky, Mia felt something she had never known so deeply before. She wasn't trapped, limited, or broken. She was finally unstoppable, finally free.